And they're like, well, because you can spread it more. I'm like, well, but it's already, they do admit that it doesn't stop the spread or slow the spread for anyone vaccinated. So just because you got vaccinated, it only helps you.
Right.
It doesn't help anybody else. So you are in the same position, potentially more dangerous, because if your side effects are less than mine, if they are, if that's true, if that's the argument.
This video today is brought to you by Flow Bottle. Flow Bottle, the bottle with a twist. Get your Flow Bottle today at flowbottle.com. Link in description below.
Now, what's your guys' opinion with like vaccines and stuff? Are you guys pro all vax, anti-vax? You do your research on whichever vaccines your kids are going to be administered. Don't want to talk about it.
Anti-vax. I mean, not. You know, there's some that I think is necessary, but you know, we've got our vaccinations.
Yeah, some. Yeah, I personally do not really believe that the majority of people needed a COVID vaccine.
Yeah, I'm the same mindset.
Yeah,
so.
I don't think the majority of people do. I think there are some that would benefit from it. I think maybe perhaps like very elderly people. I think that might make sense. And I think I'm still of the note that it's got to be choice.
Yeah, 100%.
Choice first. And if you want to get it, go ahead.
Yeah.
If you don't want to get it, don't get it. It's not my, that's not, I don't get to choose what someone else does with their body. And that's just an American stance that I have. I don't get to choose what they say. Yeah. Well, of course, unconsenting, but no, I would not get my children vaccinated with a COVID vaccination.
No.
My children did have their first vaccinations in the hospital and things like that. But since then I have refrained from, really pursuing that beyond.
More. Yeah.
I need to take more time to be educated. Now, I'm not anti every vaccine.
Right.
I certainly think there are vaccines out there that are valuable, that have been around for a long time, that are tested and tried and true and sure.
Right.
But my problem with the COVID vaccine is not the idea. I think it was good concept if it worked.
It was politicized.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
it's just,
politicized.
I still can't understand if someone had COVID already. I feel so bad for the people who were working in the hospitals who all got it and risked their lives and then were fired if they didn't want to get a vaccine for something that they already had natural antibodies towards, that were the best antibodies, better than any vaccine that they could have. Right.
Well, and then you get into the weeds with, the whole mask thing. It's like, you need to put your mask on to protect me. It's like, why can't your mask just protect you? But yeah, the vaccine thing is a weird one. My dad, he just had a heart attack, like a mild heart attack, and he has no history of heart issue, nothing. And they couldn't even, it took a while to get a cardiologist. And if you go, there's so many people, healthy people having heart attacks now. Yeah. My brother's friend had a mild heart attack. He's 19 years old, Division I athlete. He's having a heart attack. Why is a 19-year-old, LeBron James' son had a heart attack?
Yeah.
Why? And you can't even ask the question. And then you watch, the NFL and, this brought to you by Pfizer. And you're like, what the hell? This is just, you see Travis Kelce, and, I've got no issues with Travis. I've heard nothing but good things from people that I've met that have been around him. But he gets paid $30 million to go hawk this crap. And you're just like, man, they just have money to spare. And they made hundreds of billions of dollars pushing this experimental vaccine that we know nothing about. And now you can't even get in with a cardiologist.
Yeah. That's my thing is I think we shouldn't have been pressured. I think it's always should have been pro-choice. I'm still pro-choice. I think there was a lot of fear mongering that happened where people were scared and they made a decision, and some people are happy with their decision they made, and some people now are like, I wish I didn't get the vaccine.
Right.
I have an autoimmune disease. My child has an autoimmune disease. My father had a heart attack and doesn't make sense, or whatever it is. There are a lot of people who are questioning whether that was good, and it just doesn't. It doesn't. Even the way that it got processed through with the FDA. And, normally I think it's, how many years, 10 years, I think it is that it has to be studied and checked. And it was done so quickly. Yeah. And it was kind of pushed through because the state of emergency. But even once the state of emergency got lifted, it was still being mandated in many places, and that doesn't make sense to me again. It's like, okay, so now we're not in crisis, but you're still mandating, you're still going to fire people or not hire them or not let them travel, even though. So where make it make sense. Like this certainly seems one-sided, and it seems like it's just being, really pushed heavily.
Yeah.
Even like on Facebook, if you didn't put like the banner around your profile photo that's like, I got vaccinated, people were like, oh, so you're an anti. It's like, I'm just letting everyone make their own decision.
Right.
But I thought about it for a little while, and I was like, but I just wanted to make more educated decision. I wanted more time to decide. I didn't, and I'm young enough. I'm an athlete. I didn't feel like I was,
shouldn't have to, right?
Yeah, in danger. And people will say like, well,
you're going to kill grandma. Yeah. That was one I got a lot. Like, you're going to kill your grandma.
And well, if grandma is afraid of her exposure and she thinks the vaccine's going to help her, then let her take the vaccine. Right. Because supposedly if the vaccine helps, then the people who were vaccinated should feel like, okay, well then I'll be fine if I were exposed by this.
Yeah.
But here's another thing that was interesting was like, if their symptoms are so mild, right, which was kind of the claim was like that it will make your symptoms more mild, then potentially people who are vaccinated, you can make the argument, could be super spreaders because they wouldn't know that they were sick.
Right.
And the other issue I had with the vaccine, because some people were like, well, isn't that really selfish? That you could, if you didn't get the vaccine, that you could like affect other people. And I'm like, well, but if they're vaccinated and they feel, like it's supposed to take the effects away, then like, how does that make me selfish? And they're like, well, because you can spread it more. I'm like, well, but it's already, they do admit that it doesn't stop the spread or slow the spread for anyone vaccinated. So just because you got vaccinated, it only helps you.
Right.
It doesn't help anybody else. So you are in the same position, potentially more dangerous, because if your side effects are less than mine, if they are, if that's true, if that's the argument, you've protected yourself, but you've potentially caused more harm to other people if you don't even know that you're sick, because it doesn't stop or slow or spread. So there's nothing selfish about not getting it, because even the person who gets it is going to spread it exactly the same as the person who doesn't.
At the end of the day, with all the logic and all the evidence that came out, it only furthered the assertion that I'm only hurting myself if I decide not to get it, and that's my own choice.